Heroes Like Us is a series intended at sharing comic book characters from various backgrounds and identities. We won't always get everything right, so feel free to make amendments and corrections in the comments. They're always appreciated. What's not appreciated, however, is any form of hate speech or intolerance, so comments of that nature will be immediately deleted and those users blocked from this channel. This is a place of education and celebration. Welcome to I'm Your Target Demographic, and welcome to Heroes Like Us. This is our series where we look at comic book characters, but we look at characters from different identities and backgrounds. Today we are doing our 7th video on African American superheroes. So we've already done 6, you don't need to watch these in order. So at the very end of this video, you'll see a playlist for all of those videos. So now we're going to dive in. We've got 6 or 7 characters we're going to talk about today and give you just a little bit of info. This is very superficial, but hopefully enough that if you like that character, you go out and look them up and find books that they're in and things like that. So let's dive in with the first character, Mr. Miracle. This is Shiloh Norman from DC Comics. Now Shiloh is actually the 3rd person to have the title of Mr. Miracle, so it's a legacy title that's passed down. He uses technology from a place called New Genesis, and he uses this technology to fight crime. He even for a time runs a prison for metahumans called the Slab. So he does all of that. He's also a renowned escape artist. So he's a celebrity in that world of stunts and escapes. And he's relatively well known that way, in addition to being Mr. Miracle. Now we're going to head to Marvel Comics for a second, and we're going to talk about 2 characters that are both called the Prowler. So in the mainstream Marvel universe, there's one, and then in the Ultimate universe, there was another Prowler. So let's start with the one from our 616 mainstream Marvel universe, Hobie Brown. So Hobie Brown is an inventor, and he turned criminal for a while. So he would invent weapons and costumes and things to help him get away with stealing large amounts of things. He turned away from that and actually allied with Spider-Man and even dressed up as Spider-Man to kind of throw off the scent that people would think, well, Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and so Hobie would dress up as Spider-Man and appear alongside Peter Parker to help keep his alias intact. Now, Hobie Brown, while being the Prowler, also appears in another universe as a version of Spider-Man called Spider-Punk. So you might see that suit or that character show up in kind of big Spider-Man-centric story arcs. Hobie Brown is also that character. Now, our other Prowler is a character named Aaron Davis, who is the uncle of Miles Morales from the Ultimate Universe. And then, gosh, this gets a little confusing. So in the Ultimate Universe, Aaron Davis died. But then, when Miles Morales came into the 616 universe, Aaron Davis was alive, and he found him. But now Aaron Davis does not dress up like the Prowler anymore. He bought a suit that is like the Iron Spider suit, and it's like a black and gold, so it's not Spider-Man. And he uses that to be a part of the Sinister Six team. He did eventually turn away from crime and supposedly is just now living kind of under the radar, not really doing much. But Aaron Davis did appear in the movie Spider-Man Homecoming, played by Donald Glover. Up next from Marvel Comics, we've got the character Ironheart, Riri Williams. Now Riri is a genius, and at a young age she was drafted into MIT. And so she's studying technology, and they have an Iron Man suit kind of on display and for research purposes. And she starts to take pieces from that and take that technology and build her own suit. Now Riri has a bit of a revenge spree that she needs to go on. Her family and best friend were killed in a shooting. So she wants to now fight crime, stop these people, make the world a better place. Eventually, after kind of parading around in this Iron Man armor, Tony Stark himself finds Riri and drafts her into a team called the Champions, which is basically kind of a group of young heroes, and she is there. In addition to the Champions, Riri is also about to appear in her kind of a brand new solo run. So if Ironheart is a character that you find interesting or want to support, keep a lookout for her brand new series coming out. Up next from Marvel Comics, we've got the character Spectrum, Monica Rambeau. Now, Monica is from New Orleans, and she was shot by a villain who had this weapon that kind of shot out this extra dimensional energy. And when he shot her, she gained these abilities. And she can now turn into or manipulate different forms of energy. So for example, X-ray or electricity or radio waves, she can become this and control this. Now when I say she can become this energy, she literally can. So if she turns into radio waves, she becomes intangible, invisible. She can turn into electricity. She can absorb energy from other people and shoot that energy back out at them. She's very versatile, and she used these abilities to join the Avengers. And she had back then the name of Captain Marvel. So when you talk about all the people that have held the mantle of Captain Marvel, people often skip over Monica Rambeau, which is a shame. And so she held that mantle long before Carol Danvers ever took that title. Now she is a little confusing because she changes superhero names so often. So she's been Photon, she's been Pulsar, she was Captain Marvel, and then now she's Spectrum. So her branding is a little off point, but she's been around for a long, long time. There is the rumor that she's going to appear in Captain Marvel. We'll see if she eventually gets powers or if she's just a supporting character. Now we're heading back to DC Comics for a character called Virtue, Holly Ann Fields. Virtue is the leader of a group called The Movement, which is this group of very diverse, interesting characters that are trying to make social change, right? They're not always fighting big bad villains, but they're trying to make change in the world in helpful ways. Virtue's power is that she's able to tap into the emotions of other people, and that heightened emotion allows her to do things. So an intense amount of fear might allow her to fly, or give her super strength or invulnerability. Like she uses this intense emotion for a lot of reasons. She can also sense emotions from other people. She can manipulate emotions and make people feel calm. She can do a lot of things based around emotional empathy. Now, Virtue is mostly focused in the American city of Detroit, where her father committed suicide by police, meaning he basically forced them to shoot him. So she now lives in Detroit trying to make, positive change. She is also in a relationship with Sarah Rainmaker, who was a character kind of brought into the DC universe recently, and the two of them have found each other. Now we've got one last character, and this is a tricky one because she isn't actually African American, but she is a prominent black character that does not fit in any video that I'm going to do. So I wanted to find a place for her. It's almost like when I did America Chavez, like she's not actually Mexican, but she's from another planet, so I want to still focus on this character. And this is Nubia from DC Comics. Now Nubia is an Amazonian from Themyscira. So that's why I'm not going to do a video on Themysciran characters. So where do we put her? I'm going to put her here. She's had a couple different origins, and so this gets a little confusing too. In the old school Wonder Woman comics, Nubia was basically a twin sister to Diana. That one was made out of light clay and one was made out of dark clay, and they both had the same powers and they were kind of sisters. That's been retconned, meaning that is no longer really the case. In DC continuity is so confusing. I think, as of now, Nubia is basically just another Amazonian. And her job is to protect this doorway that leads to hell, essentially, to horrible, horrible things. So this gateway leads to Hades, because it's tied to kind of Greek Roman mythology. Goes to Hades, the place is called Doom's Doorway, and she basically protects and stops anything from going through that doorway. But she also goes on other crazy adventures, and so she likes to tell stories about the crazy things that she's done. In one of these stories, she helped the species called Gorgons, who is like Medusa, the snake-haired species. She helped them in this huge cause, and they gave her the ability to turn people into stone. She also fell in love with a god who was killed by this major demon king, and she went on this, revenge quest to kill this demon. Like, she's done some incredible badass things, but she's not in the spotlight often for DC's big events. She's kind of on solo, out there just doing crazy stuff, and comes back. So that's it. We covered 7 characters in this video. Hopefully you found them interesting. If you haven't seen our other 6 videos, check out, we have a playlist for all of our Heroes Like Us videos, all the different identities. We also have a playlist just for Black superheroes. So if you want to see, I just want to see those videos. We have a couple that are specifically African, so from Africa characters. You can check those out there. Thanks for supporting what we do.